Hello and welcome to the episode 2 of the startup series. I'm your host, Altamash Siddiqui. Friends, let me tell you an interesting story. A man came up with the idea to sell books online in the Seattle area of the United States in 1994. Slowly, his business started growing. So he thought, why not sell stuff online as well? People mocked him, saying his idea will never work, and people buy things physically. But those closest to him supported him. And indeed, his idea was a huge success. That man, as you may know, was Jeff Bezos, the founder of Amazon. And he is now one of the richest person in the world. So that's a little idea of where you are and where you want to be. So moving forward, let's talk about the business idea. Can you hear me?
Yeah, am I audible? Am I audible, Altamash?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, there is some, I think, some internet connection issue at your end. Please try to fix it. And thanks for this story of Jeff Bezos, who and all that. It's kind of inspirational as well, but definitely you have to start from some point in time. And so our today's session is about that how to test your business idea. So definitely in this session, today's session, in the previous session, we say that what is startup and what are the challenges and what are the phases we have to face while building the startup. And today's session will be more focused on how to test the business idea, whether it's viable or not, whether we should proceed with it or not. So we have to decide, we have to do or follow some structured approach to go for the startup idea. So this is all about today's session, and over to you, Altamash, if your internet issue is resolved by now.
Yes, it is. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah, clearly. Yeah.
Okay. So you mentioned how to test the business idea. The first question I would like to ask is that how to perform the feasibility check of your business idea.
Okay. See, when you think about anything, and it's very common when you're living your life in your neighborhood, or at you're observing certain things, certain challenges at your workplace, or maybe while commuting. So all these things, or maybe while doing any kind of shopping, like online shopping is quite convenient these days, but also a challenging because you're not getting a desired or displayed product. So in these situations, you definitely observing the pain points, okay, which are like you just step outside your place and you will start observing the pain points, and definitely somebody someday will going to resolve these issues by bringing the solution. So if you are thinking about any idea, you have to see whether is there any problem exist, the existence of the problem, and whether your idea is going to resolve that problem. So that connection should be there. It's not like if there is no problem and you are creating that, okay, my product will fly like that, and there was no problem. Actually, you're not going to resolve any problem. So you think that that's a product, but or the it could be a successful business idea. This is what you think, but it's not necessarily until unless you tested that idea. So, and that idea could be tested in your brain first you have to identify that your suggested or your proposed business idea is going to resolve any problem or not. So it is starting from there. Identify the problem and identify the solution, whether your solution, your proposed solution in your mind is going to resolve or address that problem or not. So that's a straightforward thing. So that's the first step to think that whether it's going to address any problem or not.
Okay, so like you mentioned how the feasibility of the idea. So how do we check the feasibility of the idea?
Okay, so when we are going to determine that whether that business idea is going to fly or not, we have to reach out to the people. You have to reach out to the people, you have to connect with the network or the people who are facing that problem, and whether they are going to accept your proposed solution, like your friends and family. Definitely, okay, this is the issue that like let's say in your city Karachi, that there is electricity, the major issue is electricity problem. So how to resolve that problem? So how about if we start implementing or start installing solar panel, or maybe wind turbine, small wind turbine, some kind of some alternate energy solutions. How it's going to resolve that problem? Our the energy consumption, the petrochemical products consumption is quite a number. Yeah, definitely we cannot ignore that. So our major imports are petrochemical products. So how about we introduce alternate energy in the country? So the problem is there, and expensive solution is there, but you are going to bring a cheaper solution and an alternate option for the people. So this is how you can see, and making a complete sense. Yes, my idea is going to resolve a problem, because it's very difficult to afford that existing solution, which is expensive solution, which is petrochemical products. And also in current economic circumstances, you can observe that it would be going to very difficult to import the products. So in that situation, definitely alternate energy is going to fix that problem. So this is how, from where we have to start. And okay, yeah, that's it.
So yes, you mentioned the energy prices, the energy crisis in Pakistan, and nowadays, yes, everyone is moving towards solar as well. So that's a very good idea. So I was researching the topic of the today's session. I came across sort of weird phenomena known as like TAN SAM SOM idea. Can you please explain what that is?
Sure, I have something to present. So I am sharing my screen. Okay, is it visible? Is it visible to you
Not yet. I cannot see it.
now? Okay, now is it visible?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so that's the TAM Samsung. So your total addressable market. Again, picking the example of Karachi, your city, the population of 25 million, 25 to 30 million population. That's a total addressable market. Okay, but we have to understand that not all 25 to 30 million people are going to buy your solution. Okay, so you have to understand that who are the impacted people. So you have to identify that impacted areas in your city Karachi, that what are the impacted areas are. So when you identify the impacted area, you understand that around half of the population facing this energy crisis. So, and definitely this load shedding and all that. So with that, keeping that in mind, so 50% population is your serviceable available market. TAM is total addressable market, which is your city total population, and serviceable available market, which is your, which you can approach to them and you try selling them. And then you have serviceable obtainable market, because you have the K Electric as well, which are already offering the service, and there are other solutions available in the market as well. Small vendors, or maybe solar or alternate energy providers, or the communities like Bahria town in Karachi, who have their own network of electricity. So in that situation, so you have to focus on your serviceable obtainable market, SOM. So SOM is the relevant market, which is going to determine your potential of your business idea. So if you have to determine or calculate the potential of your business idea, you have to ignore TAM, you have to first calculate SAM, and then you have to calculate SOM. serviceable obtainable market, because you have to keep competition in mind as well. So if competition is already there, then definitely this 15% of the chunk you can obtain, so that's your sum, serviceable obtainable market. So you have to calculate your business idea potential using sum, not 10, not 7.
Okay, that's great. You mentioned impacted area of the customer. So, like, how to check the nature of the customer and their behavior?
Okay, so when you are going to, you have to identify the niche first. Okay, let's say again, energy solution. If you're going to select the energy solution, and let's say a cheaper alternate of airlift, which couldn't fly unfortunately, but the pain point is still there. So if you are going to address the transportation or commuting issue in your city, and you have to bring some solution around it, so you have to study and reach out to the people, that what pain they are facing. Maybe the affordability level is, maybe they are ready to spend 100 rupees, or maybe $10 on commuting daily, but unfortunately there is no cheaper means available, so it means there is a potential. So you have to study first that, okay, you already selected your business idea, potential is there, your SOM is there, and now you have to sell that product to your SOM. So you have to reach out a certain sample out of the population of SOM, and then you have to decide that whether they are going to, or they are ready to buy your service or not. So this is how it works. So again, the sample size should be sufficient enough
Okay,
to
so
project over
a
the
very good
population.
example of airlift.
Yeah, it should be a minimum 500. Again, as I mentioned last time, it should be minimum 500, so you can project that sample size to the population.
Yes, you mentioned airlift, like it's unfortunately failed, it shut down. Unfortunately, airlift failed to turn a profit. So the next question would be that how many customers would be required for your business to turn into a profit?
Okay, you have to link your realistic budget with your top line. Top line is the revenue stream. Okay, so if you are talking about the top line, which is your revenue stream, your all expenses, your budgeted expenses, and then the bottom line, which is the profit. Okay, so if you are targeting certain, the top line and the bottom line, let's say you're targeting 1 million profit in first year or 2 years, initial 2 years, then you have to understand that you have to achieve certain revenue stream or certain top line to recover all your budgeted expenses. So in the example of airlift, they develop such a, such expensive model, and so the top line is unable to cover all expenses which they projected. So that's the reason there was no potential, though the pain point is there, and still somebody will, not now, then in future somebody is going to address that problem by bringing some solution. But airlift failed to address that problem. In fact, it addressed that problem, but unable to survive. Reason being because they developed such an expensive model without considering whether they ignored the SOM, and they ignored the, the per capita revenue stream, what they are going to generate from that SOM, out of SOM. So it's very straightforward formula. Identify your SOM, and then you have to multiply with your product service and as price. So if your product price, the multiple of your product price and the SOM is not making sufficient revenue, which is going to recover your budgeted expenses, then it's definitely going to fail. So you have to identify or create a link with your budgeted expenses to achieve or to be incurred, and your top line. So this connection should be there. Then you can say, okay, this number is, or number of customers is required to achieve my budgeted top line or target top line.
You mentioned the demand for community weight is always there, and especially in Karachi right now, because obviously a population of 30 million and still no proper means of transportation. So, how important it is to have your idea to have the demand in the market?
Okay, so In that scenario again, the thing is that you have to, again, going back to the response I have given to you into your first question, was problem and the link with solution. Then after identifying the right solution, you have to reach out your target audience, okay, your target market or your niche, and research the product, whether you are going to accept or buy my service because I'm going to fix your problem. Okay, if they say yes, we are going to buy your service, definitely is definitely yes. But the service charge which you are charging against this service, I'm not happy with that, and I'm not going to. Maybe I'm not. I cannot pay it. Simple as that. You are bringing the solution, but the charge the service charge you're making is crazy. I cannot afford that. Simple as that. So in that scenario, that you have to again go back and revamp your solution, again reach out to your target audience. Now, is it acceptable for you? Maybe you have to revise your price structure. Maybe you have to revise your revenue model. Maybe instead of subscription based model, you have to go to transaction based model, or vice versa. So this is how it works. So you have to identify the problem, then the solution, reach to the target audience, understand what they are saying, and then study the concept that what you are, bringing on the table, which is acceptable for them.
Okay, so we're done with the part phase one of the segment. A reminder to the viewers who are watching that you guys can comment on the questions you have, and we will answer them in the last quarter of the session. So moving forward, let's move to the next part of the session. Like, how do we analyze the performance of our competitor? As you know, it's a big marketplace. There will be a lot of competition. So how do we analyze that?
Okay, again, picking the airlift example is very straightforward for them, because there is not, you know, not very competitive environment in the transportation sector at the moment in Pakistan. So what they are doing, that they just study, okay, you have the what means of transport are available and what are they offering at what price. Okay, so you have to understand the features or the offering of your competitor, list them down, prepare a table. Okay, in each column you have to put your competitor name and what offering they are making. Okay, so if their offering is sufficient enough to address a problem and you are going to offer the same thing, it means you are in direct competition with your existing competitor. So in to avoid this situation, you have to first list down all the offering, all the features of their product or service, and then you have to think about that what different I'm going to offer. We call it UVP, unique value proposition. What unique value proposition you are going to add in your product to address them. So in that situation, then you can say, okay, fine, I am going to add this value which is not there at the moment, and I'm going to address this problem which is not yet addressed by the existing solution provider. So this is how it works. So your USP, previously in marketing term, we used to call it USP. Now we are calling it UVP, unique value proposition. So what value proposition you are going to offer? By the way, for the people who are in employment, we, as an employee, we should also think about the value proposition. What value proposition, what value I'm going to add to the company. Okay, and definitely company is going to compensate or remunerate me against that value. If I'm not going to add any value to the company, definitely they are not going to remunerate me well. So this is how, same way. So if you're going to launch your own business, then you have to think about that what value you are going to add to the society or to your potential customer or niche.
Okay, so you mentioned about the unique selling point of your product. So how to do that? Obviously, we'll need to do some research for it as well. So how important is the desktop and field analysis of your competition?
First thing first. So we have to start with, definitely with desktop analysis. So we have to search about that, the similar concept, similar business idea, what I have in mind, who is offering in the town. Okay, and then not in the town, then how globally people are addressing that problem. Very simple. Okay, so if you get some idea around the world, gather them in Excel sheet or Word or any document, write it down, and then compare your idea. So by following these steps, you are going to refine your idea in your mind, okay, your business idea. And then you have to, test that whether it is going to be acceptable for the people, what you are going to prepare or offer, and how you are going to add the UVP, unique value proposition. Okay, if you are unable to find any reasonable solution, nearest solution online, then definitely you have to go for the field research. You have to reach out to the people, you have to reach out to your neighborhood or maybe office colleagues and understand this is a solution, a problem we are facing, you are facing, I'm facing. So how you are going to address it? Is it annoying you? Are you going to or willing to pay to fix that problem? So you say yes, I'm happy to pay, like maybe 10 real or $10 or $1, whatever it is. I'm going happy to pay that amount to fix this issue. So definitely, if you are going to add convenience in the life of your colleagues and friends or family, definitely everybody will love it.
Yeah, so one thing I wanted to ask about the field research, like obviously we see some salesmen or some like research analysis going door to door. So is there anything which is viable to in this process?
Actually, there are marketing agencies. What they are doing, they are actually, you are reaching out to them, and you are identifying your objective, and they are, preparing some sort of marketing strategy for you. And or any consultant can develop the strategy for you, but this is very important before going live or before investing any money in any business startup. So you have to decide based on that input that okay, this is the question, and they are going to do the research for you. If you want to skip, because that's expensive model, because they are going to charge some consulting fee to you. So you have to develop pocket friendly option, as I suggested in our last week session, that you have to reach out to the university students, and you have to, you know use them and remunerate them, like maybe internship or something like that, and they will conduct the research for you. That's the cheapest option, and I always recommend to the startups, go this way. Okay, reach out to the university student, they will help you out gathering the relevant input. You have to cover 500 sample size, they will help you out in that. Okay, and by and then you remunerate them and gather the input, and that's the sufficient information. How you are going to compile all the information, this information definitely giving you the fine result, whether it is go or no go.
So there, that's the second session done. We'll go with the third segment of the session. So obviously, with the idea, we need to build a prototype for it as well. So to have a prototype for your business idea.
Okay, how to build that?
Yes.
Okay, so the thing is, we call it MVP, minimum viable product. Okay, how to build that product? It's not necessary you are going to launch any app or application, or you are maybe going into e-commerce. It's not necessary to build a complete solution then go live. Okay, there are multiple strategies to build a cheaper version of MVP or prototype. Okay, so this minimum viable product can be developed manually, or you just make an create your social media presence and start gathering the order. Okay, by this you are evaluating how's the demand, whether it's going to respond or not, market is responding or not, your target customer reaching out to you or not. Okay, you just created a social media, maybe any Facebook page or any Insta page, or maybe through TikTok you're selling the product, and you're reaching out to your target audience. By this you are gathering the input, that how's the response, you're evaluating it. Okay, with minimum viable product. Okay, or you just create your .com, create your .com, your landing page, gather the input from there, and do everything in the backend manually. It's not necessary you have to develop a complete solution. Let's say you are offering door to door laundry service. Okay, Maybe you have a complete solution in mind. It's an automated solution, and I'm going to leverage on the existing laundry service providers. Okay, and you have to creating a network, same like Kareem. Okay, but what you are going to do, you have to do this manually. Just create a landing page. People are coming and knowing, okay, I want to do this laundry. Please pick at this time and deliver at this time. Okay, you're gathering the input, whatever they're filling as a form, gathering, noting it down, and managing and calling to the laundry service provider, collecting the laundry, delivering to the laundry service provider after whatever the process is, and then you have to deliver to the customer. This all process you are managing manually, just to test your minimum viable product. You're not investing in the product, you're just testing your idea whether it's viable or not to invest in this particular idea. So this is how it going to work. So you, and there are multiple types of MVP as well. As I told you, it could be a manual MVP, or it could be a landing page of MVP. It could be a piecemeal MVP as well. Like you have a stages of the product in your mind, and you're going piecemeal basis, step by step, adding the features in the existing MVP to test it how people going to respond on that. Okay, we have the example of STC Pay in KSA environment, and where they launch in the sandbox environment of KSA regulator. So what they did, that they have, and that's the first fintech of KSA, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. So this is what they did, that they tested everything in sandbox environment provided by the regulator. And after all this control environment, when they say that yes, it is a success, then they reach out to the regulator. Now we want to come out of the sandbox, is an up and running company, we are going public, and now we have to have license for that. Now they start investing on the infrastructure. So previously, when it was in the sandbox environment and it was in MVP testing environment, definitely there was a no, though it was a fintech. Okay, but regulator is overseeing the whole concept, and the partner was definitely STC, which is one of the largest name in GCC in terms of telecommunication. Yes, back to you, Altamash.
Okay, so yes. So, quite a detailed example of the prototype building, Mr. Nabeel. So, like you mentioned, the importance of it. So, is it very necessary to have a low profile prototype built first?
Yeah, prototype should be pocket friendly, because you are the startup, you have a limited funds, you cannot burn your funds like that, just testing the idea. So idea testing, the business idea testing phase should always be pocket friendly, which you can afford, or you can do the bootstrapping. You don't need to reach out to the investor for proof of concept. You have to internally do the proof of concept within your friends and family, or within your neighborhood, or within your office environment. You have to test that idea by investing your or burning your personal finance. So definitely you have to be pocket friendly or economical solution. So MVP should always be pocket friendly. You should not invest or burn your money while doing the MVP stage. And we have the different strategy. Being startup consultant, I have multiple strategies to build and test your MVP. If your MVP is not there, or you burn a lot of funds in developing MVP, and you don't know the results, whether it's going to be a success or not, in this scenario you have to be cautious about it while burning the funds. And maybe you are moving from employment to the full-time entrepreneurship. In that scenario, you have to be, you're burning you're going to burn your savings. In that scenario, you should be cautious enough.
Okay, so you mentioned about Nash Perspective. Like to remind our viewers that Nash Pakistan's first and only startup studio right now, and obviously, if you want to consult a session with one of our entrepreneurs and startup advisors, you can do so. You can see in the website in the ticker how to book the first free session. So obviously, we'll welcome you as well. So moving forward, let's move on. You mentioned about it testing of the prototype. So, how important is there to have the early onset training of the your product or service?
Yeah, it's see it is. You have to, before that, we in when we are discussing about MVP, we have to to, like, we have to understand some success stories as well in the past. So we have the story of Amazon, we have the story of Airbnb, we have the story of Facebook, Instagram. All these are first tested in MVP, minimum viable product environment, and then they decided, okay, we are receiving a positive feedback, and people are really interested to buy or invest their time in this particular product or service. Then definitely, so you can read all these stories, all MVPs are available. So they all tested the idea first in small environment, and then they projected the idea by reaching out to the investor. So that comes at later stage. The first stage is MVP. So and back to your question, Altamash, can you repeat that, please?
Yes, I mentioned that how important it is to have the onset testing of your product.
Yeah, so as I mentioned you that when we are emphasizing on the concept of MVP, minimum viable product, and not expensive MVP, very pocket friendly MVP or economical version of the MVP, it could be manual, maybe backend is all manual and just front end is, some fancy development is there. So in this situation, you have to test your idea by reaching out to your target audience. Giving the example, I have a friend who used to work in Bank Alfala, Pakistan, and he started his coffee house in Lahore. And what he did, like he established his coffee house and he invited his friends and family for like 2 3 weeks. He invited them, come to my place. This is my new startup. I'm going to start my own coffee house. Please come visit, sit, and enjoy the coffee. Okay, every evening. This is the regular activity. He invested the time, free of cost. Come and sit, and you are also invited to bring your friends as well. So they came on day one, they shared their feedback. Day two, they shared their feedback. During first week, he noticed that there was not, the consistency was missing, which is a key element in eateries. Okay, the consistency of the taste is like the McDonald's what you're having in New York should be the same McDonald's what you're having in London, and the same McDonald's you're having in KSA, in Riyadh. So it should be the same consistent taste. This is the reason you're going to McDonald's, keeping that taste in mind. It's not like it will surprise you something else. Okay, so consistency is quite important there. So first week he observed the trend and he improved and focused on the consistency. From second week, when he improved the consistency, he got the excellence in that consistency thing. Then he think that how the behavior of his staff is. So then he's focusing on that, because then he's getting the feedback in second week, consistent taste. What I tasted yesterday, I'm getting the same taste today. So, and next thing is, and your staff behavior was not, they were unable to to deal with this such large audience at same time. So now they is also improving, their service quality is also improving, their behavior is also improving, their customer service mindset is also improving. So after 2 or 3 weeks of this testing, then he opened that coffee house for the public. What he achieved by investing in these 2 3 weeks, okay, though he burned money, but what he achieved, the consistency, customer service, and the customer feedback. Okay, the customer feedback, based on that, from fourth week he is live with all confidence, because he's not expecting any kind of negative feedback, because he already incorporated all that feedback in his product or service. So this is the example. So it means that product testing, your MVP, minimum viable product testing, is must to do. Okay, otherwise you are going to fail, because you are assuming certain things. We discussed that thing in our last session as well. You're optimistic about your idea, that's going to address, maybe it's satisfying your inner self, but it's not going to address any pain point. Or maybe people at the larger audience going to reject that idea, or at that price, maybe they love that idea but they reject at that price, they think that you're overpriced. Okay, so in that situation, you have to test your minimum viable product by reaching out to the people at smaller, at reasonable level, which you can afford to test. Yes, Altamash.
Okay, so you mentioned about the testing of the idea. So I had an example of it as well. Like we recently saw Wawa cards, which was selling cards but unfortunately it failed because of they were offering high prices, and obviously Park Wheels is the number one competitor in the market. So is that an example of the thing you which you were saying in the question?
Yeah, exactly. That's one of the coolest example to get. So again, another failure of startup is not about the environment, the startup environment or startup ecosystem in the country. It's about the failed model they build. So and again, the pain point is there. It's all these startup which we talk about previously. We discussed about airlift, and now we are discussing about this Wawa. Both were addressing the problem, but they built a wrong assumption. They took certain wrong assumptions, okay, that people are going to buy or pay certain. They didn't study their target market. You have to study your target market, whether you're going to afford your product or not. So, and if it's not feasible, then it's a no go. Don't invest your money and don't invite investor to that product. Okay, so yeah, that's and definitely this Park Fields outperform.
Okay. So now let's move to the final segment of the session. We have made the prototype and everything is fine. We have the ideas we think is well, and we have done the market research as well. So, like, how do we introduce that idea or the service into the bigger market?
Okay, so okay, so you are saying that your initial stages, you have developed your product. First, you tested your business idea, whatever we discussed, and you reach out to your target customer. You test it as well. Your MVP is ready, and you are ready to invest or scale up your MVP to the actual live product. So for that reason, but you don't have the enough or sufficient funds to finance your product. So in that situation, you have to go with you have to reach out to the investors. Okay, and there are numerous options are available. Okay, and we will discuss all these options of financing in our next session, next week session. And inshallah, I'll be in UK by that time, so probably we'll be conducting that session from UK. So so we have to, just excuse me. Yeah, so we have to conduct that session where we will explain what are the financing options available and how a startup can reach out to the potential investors. Okay, and what steps to be taken in that way. So you have to reach out to the investors. If you cannot, self finance, or you cannot do the bootstrapping of your idea, then definitely you have to reach out to the investors, and then you have to raise the funds for that particular idea, but it should address some problem, because this is what investors looking, whether you are whatever you are introducing to the market is going to address certain problem or not. If it's going to address certain problem, then at what cost, whether people are, have you tested that idea, do you have the proof of concept? If you have the proof of concept well documented, and then definitely investors will love to invest in your product. And but starting from song, so your serviceable obtainable market should be sufficient enough that investor will be interested to invest in your product. Otherwise investors, you think, is just negligible thing. You are coming up for annual 5% ROI, and though you are asking for the startup, so for startup their investor is expecting like 25 to 30% per annum or maybe more, because is a private equity, high risk product. You are going to test or launch new product. It's not any saving bonds, so people are happy with that. Okay, park that, and you're they're getting on safe investment, getting 5 to 6%. They're happy with that because investment is safe. But with this nature of fundraising, you have to prepare yourself for 25 to 30% expectation of the investor. So keep that in mind. It's not necessary you are making 10 to 15%, so it will be very difficult to raise any fund for that. But we are going to discuss this thoroughly inshallah in next session. Next week session is going to happen, I think 30th, yeah, 30th December.
30th December. Yes, correct. 30th December, inshallah, will we once again be live on how to raise the funds for the startup. Just an early teaser Mr. Nabeel has given. So you mentioned about the investor trusting the idea or the service. Like, so obviously we need to have some feedback for it as well. So how important it is to incorporate the feedback, whether it's good, bad, or neutral?
I already shared the example of this coffee house, and also we have previous example of Facebook and Instagram. So the initial idea or the initial test version is entirely different. Like Amazon, Amazon started with a bookstore. So it was an online bookstore. So he started the idea with the bookstore, and then you can see the current emerged version of Amazon. So it's a platform where you can sell anything, in just 3 clicks. So this is what the idea is. You have to start from somewhere, but after incorporating the client feedback, or maybe while testing the MVP, when you're reaching out to 500 people to test your product, and when you receive the output, there are only three options available. First option, go with this product. Every is going to be a unicorn, okay, is or multi-million project, okay, because everybody love it. You got crazy feedback. Second option, it's going to fail, definite no. Like majority of the people dislike your product and they're not happy, or they're not going to afford your product. Stop here. Okay. Third thing is, yes, you can go live, but with certain aspects to be incorporated in the product. So if you're going to incorporate those certain aspects in the product, then you can say, yeah, I can go live, but I have to incorporate or make certain tweaks in my product. After making or revamping my product, I can go live. So you have only always have three options when you're going with this way, testing MVP in the market in small space and then going live later on. Then you have always have three options: go for it, not go for it, go, no go, and third option is make certain changes and then go live or invest in the product. Yes, Altamash, you there?
Ye- Yes, yes. Sorry about sort of internet issue.
I thought
So
he's started.
yeah, you mentioned this.
I thought
No, no, I'm here.
yeah.
No, I'm here. So obviously, for the this idea to run, we need to have sort of financial backing as well. So at what point do we check that this idea is financially feasible for us?
Okay, so financial feasibility is again is a niche again. It needs certain expertise. So while preparing financial feasibility, it's not about just open an Excel and put the expenses and put the top line. It's not about that. You have to prepare and take careful assumptions. Okay, you have to test the sensibility. You have to perform the sensitivity analysis as well of your feasibility. Okay, what if it goes? Anything goes wrong. What will be the option? So you have to build multiple feasibility financial models, and based on that you have to predict, okay, all models are giving me the same result, okay, what I'm targeting. If you're getting a variable results, and one is south and other is north, then in that scenario, that you have to reach on the middle ground or rethink about that, because all financial models are not giving you the desired results or anticipated results. So in that situation you have to prepare your feasibility model or consult certain subject matter experts. Like chartered accountants are offering this service, Nash Perspective is offering this service as well. So you have to reach out to them. And to be honest, you cannot afford at times, simple as that. You cannot afford a full-time chartered accountant. Even big corporates are unable to afford full-time chartered accountants. So in that situation you have to reach out to them, like Nash Perspective or startup studios like Nash Perspective. Reach out to them and say, okay, this is what I have to offer. Okay, I can offer you equity stake, or I can offer you some management position, but I cannot compensate your service. Okay, if and people are interested to invest their time against these considerations, not necessarily monetary considerations. You can offer non-monetary considerations as well. Okay, as I explained, that equity stake or some management position. So in that situation, people will give their skill to you, and you can leverage on that. So building that financial feasibility and multiple financial models to value your company before reaching out to the venture capital.
That's a very interesting interesting point you mentioned, venture capitalism. Obviously, for to go to the venture capitalism, we need to prepare our pitch deck presentations. So, how to improve our pitch deck presentations? What can we do to improve it?
Again, expertise are required here. Again, is a niche, and it should certainly have components which usually investors are interested to look at. Like I mentioned about TAM, SAM, SOM is one of the example. Your financial feasibility, your pricing of the product, your SOM, with and the feedback, the you know the feedback you receive while testing your MVP. So all these are the, and what are the potential of the market, so investor and what you are asking for. So again, pitch deck preparation is a key element, because based on that pitch deck you have to reach out to the venture capital or any potential maybe angel investor. You have to reach out to them, and based on that document and your presentation, they are going to decide whether they are going to invest in your idea or not. So people are we have to understand, people are not investing in any business idea or in any crazy pitch deck. They invest in people. People invest in people. We have to understand this concept. So if you have the potential to deliver, it will reflect in your pitch deck, okay, because you are presenting and speaking out your idea, okay, through that presentation or pitch deck. So in that situation, then they decide, okay,
Okay,
this is the
so
right person to deliver the idea. Yeah.
okay, so we are running a bit short on time. We'll ask the final question. After that, we'll move forward with the audience questions. I mentioned earlier in my story that Jeff Bezos had the right people to surround himself with, because obviously people were mocking him that this idea would never work. So obviously you need to have people around you to support you. So your thoughts on that, and how important it is to have the right people surrounding yourself.
Yeah, sure. It is quite challenging. Like even our parents doesn't support us for such kind of ventures. Very few, and a modern mindset is required. It is very rare to have such kind of parents that who support you in going, or and alhamdulillah, I am actually lucky enough to have such kind of parents who always motivate me to do such kind of ventures. So, and I always encourage people to that. So because people are more comfortable in the secured environment, let's say employment thing. So when you're going to introduce your startup, and your society, 99% of the people are not supporting you, less than 1% people are supporting you, you have to find out first believers. Okay, those first believers, if you are lucky enough, those first believers ideally should be your parents or your siblings or your friends and family. Okay, so if you're lucky enough, but at times you have to find out your first believers. Like what you believe, you have to find out the like-minded people. As I mentioned in my last week's session, which was our first session or first episode of this series, I mentioned about it just like finding a soulmate, okay, your first believer. If you find a right mix of team, your first believer who believe in you and who believe in this business idea, they will keep rolling you, okay, they will keep motivating you, okay, go for it, okay, yeah, it has the potential, okay. And at times, and if you're lucky enough, you'll find those people in your family. If not, then definitely we have to find out and hand down those first believers. So this is how it should be. So the concept of first believer is the first step. Single person cannot achieve anything in this world, never. Okay, it never happened. Okay, so always you have to create your first believers. If we observe the journey of our prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, so you will observe that he has those first believers. Okay, first he create those first believers, and then now we have mashallah 1.6 to 1.8 billion around the world. So that's a success. So that concept is still alive. After even 1400 years, you can see, yes, the concept is there, okay, still there, and there are still believers. More than 1 billion people are believing in it and following it. So that's the success. But first, the major struggle was when he was finding the first believers. You can observe that period when he migrated from Makkah to Medina. That was a struggle period, right? So when, because he's finding the first believers, but once he got reliable first believers, okay, then yes, all in. Okay, and the success in front of you, which is still there and still continue. So that's the reason he's the most successful person on the earth.
Yes, that's a very good example, Mr. Nabil. Obviously, Prophet Muhammad is very close to our hearts, and yes, so very good example. I really liked it. So we'll move forward with the audience questions. Muhammad Naeem from YouTube, that how do I know this idea will be successful?
I think we discussed that throughout the session. First thing is you have to test the idea in MVP environment at smaller scale. And after testing idea at smaller scale, you have to reach out to the financer, or maybe you have to invest in that idea. If you have, sufficient amount of money to invest by yourself, you can do it, or you have to reach out to the investor if you don't have the funds. So, but you have to test the idea. The proof of concept or minimum viable product should be ready for that and properly tested.
Okay. Another person is Khwaja Akbar from. I think he's a follower of yours. He's saying hello.
Okay, hi.
So another question we have from Rafi Rahman from LinkedIn. He's saying that what should be the suggested market size to test or a prototype for any startup?
Okay, as you discussed, it's a SOM, it's serviceable optimal market, it's not total available market, it's not total accessible market, is always about serviceable obtainable market, because you have the competition in place and you have to outperform your competitors. So this is how it should work here.
Okay,
And if you are
and we
going
have the
for
final question. Abdul Rahman
one more thing,
Abid. He's asking.
yes. Just one thing, Altamash. So if you're saying that suggested market is, it depends, it vary startup to startup or business idea. Okay. So if your business idea is offering any e-commerce, then definitely you have to go to the people who are, into e-commerce, who love to buy online. Okay. If you are going for some any sort of uh, let's say a trading platform, then you have to reach out to the people who are into the trading stuff. So this is how it works.
Okay, we have the final question here. Abdul Rahman Abid from LinkedIn is asking. Too many businesses are afraid to fail because of that they avoid pursuing new ideas or even fail to properly test a new idea or product before launching it. What are your thoughts on that?
Okay, no, I think I encourage that. If again, as I told you, that before reaching out to the people, even before developing or investing time in building your prototype or MVP, reach out to some subject matter expert. Okay, as startup studio, Nash Perspective is offering free 30 minutes consultation session. If you have any business idea, you want to go live with that idea, you want to invest, or you have to reach out to the investors to go live, so then you can consult us. We are offering free 30-minute session to you. Reach out to us and we will advise you whether you should invest in that idea and how to proceed. We will give you structured step-wise approach to do that before you burn all your money and then you got to know it was that was the biggest mistake of my life. So before reaching out to that conclusion or burning all your savings, reach out to the people who know in and out of that, who have already lost a lot of money to reach this stage. Okay, like myself, I started that journey in 2017, like 6 years back, and now I'm a different person because my mindset is entirely changed now. Because now I am, while investing, I usually perform a complete due diligence review before investing in any new idea or developing any new product. Okay, so this is how I'm doing. And what are the steps to be taken, what is the structured approach? Definitely I'm going to share my experience with all of you.
Okay, we have one more question from Facebook. Zaryab is asking for like, what would be the if we have made the final product, what would be the next marketing strategy or the plan for it?
Well, this is a quite interesting question, and again, it depends on the product. So, marketing strategy is is directly linked with your revenue model. Okay, and which means your target market and which means your target customer. Okay, so you already perform the research on your target market or your selected customer base, and based on that you already gathered the input. So you have to develop your thorough marketing strategy or digital marketing strategy to based on the feedback you received and your target customer. You have to understand the demographics of your target market. You have to understand that their which gender is more inclined towards your product. Okay, which location their geographical location is more inclined towards your product. What is the affordability level? These are the factors which is defining your marketing strategy. So definitely, Nash Perspective, we are also having a marketing expert as well in our team, and we are definitely going to connect with you if you really want to have or revisit your marketing strategy with us.
Okay, I think that's a wrap on the audience questions as well. So in the end, just a closing statement, Mr. Nabeel, anything you'd like to say?
Thank you so much for having me, Altamash. And I think, I believe that it's going to add value for the people who are attending this session and going to see the recorded version of this session. So, all the best for all the entrepreneurs or potential entrepreneurs and those who are having or startup aspirants. All the best for them, and please feel free to reach out to us. We are offering 30 minutes free consultation service. You can discuss your idea at any stage. You can discuss if you have any fundraising requirement, any sort of problem you're facing. You're at any stage of your startup or business, reach out to us. You can freely discuss with all confidentiality your business idea as well, and we will definitely going to help you out in that journey. We have a complete panel of subject matter experts from different, like Sayyid Rehan Kazmi is there, Sana Qadri is here. She herself is as an entrepreneur and having a multi-million startup setup in adtech. And it's going well. So this is how what we are going to do, and myself is also associated with certain startups. So we are definitely going to help you out in building your startups and advising you what, and don't bother about your pocket, that whether you can afford our service or not. Just have a 30-minute free consultations service with us, and then decide whether it's adding any value or not. Thank you, Altamash.
Yes, you mentioned that different entrepreneurs as well. Yes, we also have Mr. Shaikh as well, who's the digital marketing expert. You forgot to mention him.
Yeah, we have this Adil Sheikh as well with us.
Yes. So that's a wrap from this second session of we can have the recording of it on our YouTube channel and the LinkedIn channel and Facebook channel. So please do subscribe to the channel. Till then, we'll see you next week. Till then, Allah Hafiz.
Allah Hafiz. Thank you.